Hello, Motor Rider World fans, and the grid for the 2023 MotoGP season looks like it's starting to come into shape now, and we're just going to take you through some of the question marks that are still left with what riders are going where in which teams. Over the last couple of days, we've seen Enea Bastianini has been announced as the second full factory Ducati rider alongside Pecco Bagnaia. He gets the nod ahead of Jorge Martin, who will be staying in the Pramac Ducati team alongside Johan Zarco. So that'll make it a 3-year term for those two riders in the Pramac Ducati team. That's the longest that they've ever had serving, two riders serving in that team, and a great team that they've proved to be. Just a little bit more consistency from both of them, but Pramac Ducati certainly have become a force in the MotoGP paddock. And you can understand why Ducati would have taken Enea Bastianini over Jorge Martin. It was a tough call. I've said it on a couple of occasions. Didn't quite understand how Ducati kind of played them against each other, kind of ruined their seasons in many ways, but Bastianini just seems to have that little bit extra about him compared to Martin. Martin's got the speed, just looking for that little bit of maturity compared to Enea Bastianini. So two Italians on those two Italian motorcycles, the Italian dream team heading into the 2023 season there for Ducati. Another big outcome that has literally just come out the last couple of hours is Miguel Oliveira. We know that, well, within the paddock, I've certainly known for a couple of weeks now that he had committed himself to that RNF Aprilia ride at the Spielberg Ring. Patbara came out and said with a new Gas Tech 3 team that's forming, they will definitely be offering Miguel Oliveira a big contract. It looks like, with all the media reports that have come out, that they did do that. They offered him a big 3-year deal. Oliveira has looked like he's snubbed that and will be staying with that RNF Aprilia team. That announcement is set to come just before the race weekend of Misano, so keep a lookout for that. But that's just some of the question marks that I'm going to take you through now, just to see how the MotoGP grid is lining up for the 2023 season. So with the factory Aprilia team, we do know 100% confirmation that it is Maverick Vinales and Aleix Espargaro that will be in those two seats at least for the next 2 years. Those riders on 2-year contracts there. Ducati, as I've just mentioned, the factory team will be Pecco Bagnaia and Enea Bastianini. Gresini Ducati, Di Gianantonio will be staying put in that team for 2023. And Alex Marquez making the jump from LCR Honda, leaving the Honda brand leaving a factory Honda contract pretty much to go to the Gresini Ducati team. So that's going to be a big move. Going to wait and see how Alex Marquez, the former Moto2 world champion, his MotoGP career just hasn't kicked off. It's, and you can't fully put the blame down to him. Obviously, he's coming in a bad period for Honda with the problems of his brother Marc Marquez and that. So I think he's looking for a fresh start, and I think it's a good move for him. But it's going to really test and put him up to see what kind of a MotoGP rider he is. He's got to make that work. Enea Bastianini was winning in that team on that bike. Di Gianantonio has done great things. If Alex Marquez doesn't go there and put in some good performances, could really put a massive dent in him staying in MotoGP. So we'll have to wait and see. But that's an exciting move. I'm very keen to see how that plays out for the 2023 season. Factory Yamaha, the only two Yamahas on the grid for 2023 will be Fabio Quartararo and for now still Frankie Morbidelli. Despite everything, Lynn Jarvis and Yamaha and Frankie have come out saying that they are still working at it and that partnership will still be going ahead despite the troubles that are in that team with Frankie Morbidelli and Yamaha just not working out. But it's going to be a big season for Frankie Morbidelli to see if he can make it work. I don't know. I honestly don't know what to say about that situation. Fabio is obviously overriding that Yamaha, but still getting the results. Could that crack like Marc Marquez at Honda? If that does, Yamaha in a big predicament because they only have Fabio Quartararo doing anything on their machines. And with next year, with RNF pulling the satellite Yamaha team moving to factory Aprilia machines, only two Yamahas on the grid. It's going to be a big, high-pressure season for Fabio Quartararo, Yamaha, Lynn Jarvis, and especially Frankie Morbidelli. So let's wait and see how that plays out. Pramac Ducati, as I said, is Zarco and Martin. And then KTM, the factory Red Bull KTM team, is our very own Brad Binder, along with Jack Miller. Very excited to see how Jack Miller goes on that factory KTM as well. I've touched upon it on our live Talking MotoGP. It's going to be a big season to see if Jack can come from this, factory Ducati where he's performing really well and all that hype onto the KTM and bring that same kind of form, that same kind of intensity and that same kind of results to the factory KTM. It's either going to he's going to do well in it, and he's going to highlight that the package is not that bad, and Brad's doing well, and he must pull up his socks, or it could go the other way, and Jack Miller struggles, and it just highlights how well Brad is doing and how far behind the KTM package is. So it's going to be a big season again for the Red Bull KTM factory, because if they don't have a good 2023 season, they could be really losing out on the likes of Brad Binder or any other big names coming to them, because they need to show a big step of improvement and development in the 2023 season to really attract and keep the likes of Brad Binder. So the question marks then still for the 2023 season: LCR Honda, we know that they have signed Alex Rins on the one side of the garage already. The second seat is still up for grabs. Taka Nakagami hasn't been confirmed there. Reports have come out saying that he has agreed as a test rider role for HRC for the 2023 season. Ayagura has been mentioned, your current Moto2 World Championship leader, to be stepping up into MotoGP. He's come out saying that he's not really ready for MotoGP. He would like another season in Moto2. We saw how that exercise worked out for the likes of Raul Fernandez. But it looks like Honda really do want to, with the Idemitsu sponsorship, which Ayagura brings with him. So LCR won't really be losing anything there, replacing Taka Nakagami with Ayagura. He's doing fantastic things in Moto2, looks like a really good rider. It's his second season in Moto2, so if he goes on and wins the Moto2 World Championship, potentially moved up to MotoGP, we'll have to wait and see there. But certainly that second spot in the LCR Honda team, it's between Ayagura or Taka Nakagami. Those are the only two real possibilities for that second spot in the LCR Honda camp. Repsol Honda, we know Marc Marquez is the one confirmed rider. We know that he's been given the go-ahead by doctors to intensify his training, and he's going to certainly try and make a comeback, trying to be at the Misano test to get a head start on the 2023 season. His teammate still hasn't been confirmed, but it looks like any day now Joan Mir will be confirmed as the second rider in that Repsol Honda team. I don't think it's ideal for Joan Mir, but again, it's his only real option and Repsol Honda's only real option as far as signing goes. So it's been a fall from grace for Joan Mir over the last couple of years, from 2020 MotoGP World Champion to this year 9 DNFs, I think, after the Red Bull Ring, just not showing any kind of form. That announcement that Suzuki were pulling out really did seem to affect Joan Mir, and he's going to have to try and resurrect his career on a fragile project in that Repsol Honda team. We know that Marc Marquez came out at Spielberg also saying that the project's failing, and that's the first time Marc Marquez has really come out in the press and really questioned Honda and their project. And it was a big shock to a lot of us. It was a big shock internally, I know for a fact, with Honda, from what I've seen and heard at the Red Bull Ring. So Marc Marquez, he's lost 2 years of his career pretty much already with the injury that he had. His career has most certainly been shortened with that injury now. And he's also come out and said, I can't wait for this project. I need a winning bike sooner rather than later. Otherwise, I need to look elsewhere. So that was big fighting words from Marc Marquez. And it's interesting to him going up against Honda for the first time, saying, I can't waste more years developing a motorbike. I need a championship, competitive motorcycle from 2023. So it's going to be a big year for Repsol Honda. Joan Mir, I'm sure he liked that talk, because he also doesn't want to be this development rider coming from Suzuki, all those years of development there and winning and doing such a great job onto this fragile and frail Honda project. So, but yeah, it's a question mark for now, but within the paddock, we pretty much know that's 100% done deal that Joan Mir will be going to Honda, and it will be announced any day now. Gas, the new Gas Tech 3 team, pretty much a red KTM with Gas painted on it. We know that Paul Espargaro is the one rider. We do know that Remy Gardner has kind of been shunted out of that team, where he's going to go potentially back to this new VR46 Moto2 team that they're talking about. And the second rider in that Gas team looks like it's going to be Augusto Fernandez. So a couple of weeks ago, it didn't look like any riders were coming up from Moto2. Now potentially we're going to see the top two contenders in that championship, Ayagura with LCR and Augusto Fernandez heading up with the Gas Tech 3 team. Not far behind Ayagura in that championship, so it really looks like it's between those two, with the likes of Vietti and them still in the chase, but does look like those two are the most consistent at the front end of that Moto2 championship. Augusto Fernandez then looks like potentially partnering Paul Espargaro in that new Gas branded Tech 3 team. Then, of course, the Muni VR46 team. No one has been confirmed in that team, but it's it's almost common knowledge within the paddock that it will be Luca Marini and Marco Bezzecchi signed up in that team to carry on the brilliant work that they've done within that project. It really has been a hats-off season to both the VR46 team, one of the fresh new teams in the paddock doing a brilliant job, and their two riders, Luca Marini and Marco Bezzecchi. Bezzecchi looks hands-on favourite now to win Rookie of the Year, and Marini's just carried on that progression to an established, competitive MotoGP rider. So, don't go ruffle the feathers. Just keep that team as it is, and they're going to have another strong 2023 season, it looks like. RNF Aprilia is the big question mark. It's going to be announced either the Wednesday, the Thursday, a couple of days' time ahead of the Misano GP, that Miguel Oliveira will be their one rider after he snubbed the gas deal, pretty much wanting to change manufacturers. Wants to climb onto a competitive package, which the Aprilia bike certainly is at the moment in the hands of Aleix Espargaro and Maverick Vinales. So Miguel Oliveira, I think a pretty wise career decision. They're going from KTM and just saying, I need success now, cannot wait for the project anymore, and climbing on an established Aprilia. How the RNF team will handle the Aprilia, how Aprilia will be able to make 4 more factory bikes and spares and resources available is a big question mark. Will the team be able to offer Miguel Oliveira the tech and the data and everything that he will need to be competitive on that Aprilia is still another question mark. But I think Miguel Oliveira, good career move, and certainly a good move for Razlan and the RNF Aprilia team to have him. And then on the other side of the garage, again, still a question mark, but within the paddock, it's Raul Fernandez that has signed for that team and will be announced the couple of days before the Misano GP, casting out Darren Binder, our very own Darren Binder, which looks like he will be going into the Moto2 World Championship, still to confirm which team he'll be going for there. I know they are working extremely hard behind the scenes to get Darren a ride that he deserves and a ride that he can be competitive on to challenge for top 5, top 3, and potentially a championship, if not next season, certainly in 2024. So those are the question marks still left. The pieces of the puzzles are starting to really fill out now, and we expect big announcements ahead of the Misano GP. If not at the Misano GP, just before, just after, we'll have our full grid of the 2023 MotoGP season locked and loaded and ready to do battle. And like I said in this show, it's going to be very interesting with some of the key points in there.